guys, so we're just gonna jump in. So let's go and start off in our adjustments tab here, and let's do curves. So we're gonna select, let's drag this down first. Okay, so we're gonna do curves, and I just like eyeballing it, so I'm gonna bring this up, play with the highlights a little bit. So on the left side it's your highlights, on the right side it's your darks, so just play with that and see what works. So another thing you can do is if you see that little where it says RGB, you can switch it up and press other colors and change those curves. So I'm gonna go in and I did selective color, and I'm doing yellows. I'm fast forwarding this just because this took me a while, so I'm kind of just messing with everything, just seeing what it does. So selective color just affects the actual color that you've selected, and that way you get kind of like super uber precise color editing. And my favorites are the whites and the blacks, just because those change the most. Obviously there's a lot of magenta in her hair, so that's gonna change a lot too. So once you start playing with the whites and the blacks, you're gonna see a dramatic difference. This is kind of where you can add your artistic flair a lot of the time. I like just kind of keeping it darks as dark, and then I'll add another layer and then do like more artistic stuff. So as you can see, I added another selective color, and I'm just messing with the blacks now. And then also, for the sake of my sanity, I like naming my different layers, so it'll help me in the long run. So I'm adding another selective color, and then I'm just gonna tweak it until I see what I like. And then sometimes I will go in and I'll brush it off certain areas. It just depends if I like, what's going on there, but I don't like what I did in this section with that specific layer. So I will, I'll get a big black fluffy brush and I'll brush off the effect like this. Then I'll just go in and toggle back and forth and see what I've done, what I do like, what I don't like. And I really do like the punchiness, just, focusing on her face and on her shirt a little, but I do want mostly the focus being on her face. So I'm gonna try to erase it off basically from the eyes and anything that I really want like intense, and then I'll brush it on anywhere I see that it should be. So and the easiest way to toggle back and forth from a black brush and a white brush is your X on your keyboard. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to check that everything's looking good, that I'm not missing any parts. Okay, so once I finish up doing all the touch-up that I want, I'm going to select all these, and I'm going to group them together by pressing Command G. Sorry, no, Command Group. Command G. So I'm going to name this Color Mix. And then so we can see what we've done so far. It's added some contrast, some different colors. Doesn't look like a lot, but we all saw what we did. And so let's go into color balance. So color balance is going to affect the highlights, the shadows, and the highlights, shadows, and midtones. So let's go ahead and see what we want to do with that. You can get some pretty crazy like looking things going on. So toggling it on and off, this is what we've done just there. And so I'm going to name this something different, just going to call it toning. And that way I know what it is. And then let's see, I'm gonna brush it off the hand and the shoulder and this, like the chest area. Yeah, because it just seems a little too contrasty right there. We're gonna duplicate our layer twice. We're gonna turn off the first layer, go to Filter, Gaussian Blur, and we're gonna do it like as intense as we wanted it. And the whole point is that we're selecting a radius that is gonna make everything really, really, really buttery. It's not gonna stay like this, obviously. I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do next. So since we have duplicate layers, we're gonna go ahead and make the top one our details. So what you do is you go to Image, Apply Image, or sorry, go to, yeah, Apply Image, and then you're gonna go to Blending Mode, and then select Add, and then you're gonna put the scale to 2, and then the layer that you're gonna use is your layer 1, and oops, I forgot something. Forgot to do the invert. So when you do it, don't mess up like I did and do it the right way. So go to, oh, there it is. Apply image, invert. There we go. Scale to, add, and all that fun stuff. Okay, so now here in the blending mode, we're gonna go to linear light. There it is. And so, see, even though we have both on, it's doing its thing. So we're gonna rename this one, and we're gonna call it blur. And then we're gonna rename it layer 1, and we're gonna call it details. So we're gonna turn off details. What I like to do is I just turn off the details one, and then I just like work on the colors. But the colors seem pretty good. I just added a layer mask to both of them, so that way I can work on them, and in case I make a mistake, I can just erase it off the layer mask. Okay guys, I'm going to fast forward through this because it's going to be so tedious. So here I'm just taking off some of those extra freckles that I didn't really care for. So when you work on the gray one here on top, what you're doing is you're adding the softness. And what I like to do is I go into like this one. See how I got too blurry? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use my clone tool, and I'm going to clone out the colors. So just making all the colors softer. And I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this part again. Let's see what I'm doing. Okay, let's see what we've done. So basically just some cleanup. That little clip actually took me like 9 minutes, and I fast forwarded times 20. So yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and I think we're just gonna go ahead and flatten this now. Alright guys, let's go into the lips. So we're going to add a layer, and then we're going to change the blending mode to multiply, and with our brush tool, press B on your keyboard, and then we're going to go in, and we selected a color already. So what I did was I just pressed Alt, and I selected a color that was kind of somewhat like this color. And I'm just gonna fill in any gaps. I'm gonna try to make it look as natural as possible, but we'll see how that works. Natural as this can get, I guess. Sorry guys if you can hear the fan in the background. Just gonna be changing blending modes. What I think for today, overlay is gonna do it. Yeah, see? A lot better. Crisper lines. Yeah. Alright. Let's do some more. Ooh. Okay, you know what? Yeah, let's do this. Let's just do multiply and then we'll duplicate and then we'll go in and press S on your keyboard and the stamp tool will come up. And I'm just going to stamp around and then try to blend everything all pretty like. Try to make everything look super seamless. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this section because I already know myself and I know I'm going to be an uber perfectionist and this is going to take forever. So hang on tight. Okay guys, so now we're going to go ahead and tackle the highlighting and contouring. Yeah, we're going to add some dimension. This is my favorite way of adding dimension back into someone's body. So layer 1, we're going to call it highlight. Layer 2, we're going to call it contour. After we do this, we're going to change the blending mode up there where it says normal, and we are going to make it overlay. An easier way to do this would have been if I just would have copied, duplicated one layer and not had to do the overlay twice. So it's alright. So with a big fat white brush on a very, very low opacity, I'm gonna start with 20. Why not? No, let's go with 10. Okay, so make sure you're on a brush tool. So hit the B on your keyboard and go down to about 10. Yeah, 10. Press the 1 in your keyboard, it'll automatically make it 10%. I'm just going to hit the natural highlights of her face. Basically, we are sculpting her and hitting all those points, like the high points of your body, or any other things that you want to highlight. So, like, depending if someone has really sunken in eyelashes, really sunken in under eyes, this is where we go in and we lighten them. So also shadows. Ooh, the inner corners of the eye, perfect place to highlight. The whites, perfect place. Catch lights sometimes if you don't want them to look too alien, just hold back. But yeah, the inside of their mouth. Sometimes it gets a little dark, so I like going in with to like the teeth, just like really highlighting that, just to separate them from the mouth. And then, all right. Let's see what else. Alright, let's just do a little bit more highlighting. And now let's go in and do contouring. So contouring, I like to hit the shadows. Make sure that you're on a black brush. And I just go around like where I see shade already. And we're gonna kind of contour her hand. I know that sounds weird, but since her hand is a little out of focus, it becomes a lot softer, so I'm going to bring back her knuckles and the dimension in her hand. And then, since it is, a little blown out, I like bringing it back this way. And also her lips, so I'm going to darken the corners of her lips to make them a little bit fuller. And then we're just going to go around all her face, especially the lashes. So the lashes are really important, the cheekbones are really important. Basically the whole face is really important because this is where we are getting that like dramatic like effect from. So we're going to go in, we're going to darken those outer corners and lashes. The brows, sometimes she has really nice brows. These are her natural brows. So we are just going to go over everything that's dark. And just make sure that you're doing it very lightly. Keep it natural. It's easier to build up. Looks better. It doesn't look overdone. And then another nice tip to do. Oops. Let's do that. Accidentally pressed the background one. So what I like to do is go in on the eyes and make sure you're on the right layer and go into the pupils because you lose a lot of dimension on the pupils too when you're doing those funky edits. So I like coming back in and touching the dark points of your eyes. This is where we're looking at so far. Then you can always like turn them down, erase stuff. If you add a layer mask, it just depends on your personal preference. There's no rhyme or reason. This is just me editing, having fun. So I really want those like inner corners to be like super poppy. And then I want to lighten her eye color too, because she naturally has like really like kind of on the darker side of brown eyes, but sometimes they turn like this really caramelly color. So this is before, this is after. Subtle yet dramatic. Okay guys, let's group this and we'll call this face define. Yes, so much yes. I love it. I love it so much. Okay, so I think I'm going to keep tweaking with this and I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this section, okay guys? So one of my favorite and absolute favorite things to do is, besides flatten images, is going in and going to other, high pass, and then selecting, we're going to zoom in really far and go into her eye, and then we're going to select a really low radius where it's just barely covering like her eyelashes and the details. See how like if you go lower, it'll kind of just be like crisp around the edges, and it's like only hanging on to the details. So that's kind of what we want. So that looks kind of like the sweet spot. So we're going to do it there. And then we're going to click OK. We're going to go down. We're going to go to overlay. And then now everything's super duper uber sharp. Now what we're going to do is add a layer mask. And we did an inverted layer mask. So I pressed I believe option and it turns into an inverted mask, and now we're going to paint it on with a white brush, and my brush is at 100%. Yours doesn't have to be. I'm just going to turn it down. I'm going to turn the whole like layer down later, just that way I'm not changing my brush. And we're going to touch everywhere that glitter is to make that glitter super pop. And we're going to touch the hairs, and you see me lowering my opacity as I touch different things. So that means that I don't want that to be that sharp. So I want her galaxy lips to be like super uber sharp. And then with a really, really low opacity at 30%, I'm going to go over her hair strands. And so as you can see, it's like just a smidge sharper, but it like adds focus. So that's what I love about it. So then we flatten that, and then another Command J, yes, Command J, and then we're gonna go to blur, lens blur. We're gonna see if we want to do any lens blurring. So what this does is it basically like mimics like your depth of field. So sometimes I like to use this just to make everything kind of buttery. So we're gonna see if I want to play with this a little bit. Alright. So we added a layer and inverted it. We're going to make these little nose hairs and details be less in focus. And also around here, and here, and remove a bit of that texture. No, we're going to do it old school. We're going to do portraiture. And I'm just going to do portraiture smooth medium. And that makes everything look super waxy. And then I will add a layer mask. And I'm going to invert that and then brush it all in. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and flatten that. And then now let's work on the eyes. So let's do vibrance adjustment, and let's just get it crazy because we could just invert it anyway. So I inverted it, Command I, and then now with a white brush on my black layer, I am brushing it on. And then I'm just going to do it to where I feel like it needs more color. So especially that eyeshadow and stuff like that. Especially since I'm not a professional makeup artist, then I really need to punch it up. Alright, so let's remove it from anywhere that doesn't need it. And flatten. And then add another layer. Let's change the blending mode to color. And let's zoom in quite a bit. So I'm going to paint on the white brush so I can remove any of that color cast that's on there, and then I could just make it like a lot brighter. So now I switched it to luminosity to see if that if I like that more. But if you end up doing luminosity, just bring it down just a bit like I'm doing here. And then, oh my goodness. Okay. So here we are. So a good tip is to zoom out when you're editing eyes, because you really don't see how dramatic they are when you're zoomed in. So zoom out, click it a couple times, and then if you're okay with it, go ahead and flatten. But I'm going to come in and I'm going to edit on her teeth. So since her teeth have this color cast on them, I'm going to remove that by just brushing on some of that luminosity there. And sometimes it doesn't come up as, you know, as dramatic as you want it, but you can just create another layer. So I'm going to go ahead and flatten that. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in the vibrance layer again. But what we're going to do now is we're going to turn down the vibrance on her teeth. So we're basically making them whiter. So we're going to zoom in and brush it there. Make sure to avoid the lips. If you hit that lip, it's okay. Just go back and erase it. And then the whites of her eye. And then we're going to bring that down if we need to. So very subtle, but it makes it look cleaner. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a snapshot and then flatten. And let's see what we've done. So this is where we started. This is where we are. And so, yeah, it's quite a dramatic difference. So these are the steps we took. Colors and the contouring and all that. Okay. So now I think this is good, you guys. Yeah, I think this is good. So from here, oops, to here, and that looks awesome. So I'm just gonna go ahead and save it. And I will post this on social media and stuff. I'll show you how I do my before and afters. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Alright, bye! Look at that before and after, you guys. Just look at it. So like, share, subscribe. Have an awesome whatever day I upload this on, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!